Good morning, client experience and technology, and welcome to the November 28th edition of CXT Talks. This one's a little different than usual as we have guests from advisory services joining us. So I'm very excited to introduce them in a moment, but let's start off in a good way with a land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Treaty 6, 7, and 8 nations of Alberta, and acknowledge Treaty 4 and 10. We acknowledge the ancestral territory of the Cree, the Dene, the Blackfoot, the Stoney Nakoda, the Saulteaux, the Ojibwe, the Tsuut'ina, and the 8 Métis settlements, as well as the homeland of the Métis Nation. We acknowledge that these original signatories of the treaties agreed to the terms so our people could create a relationship and move forward together in a peaceful way. We acknowledge that the land is an act of reconciliation that honors the authentic history of Turtle Island and the original people of this territory. So yesterday, I heard John Peary, and he was talking about his learnings from an offsite that he had at Métis Crossing a few weeks back. And he was talking a lot about how the land provides for people. So for instance, there are certain trees that provide sunscreen and other trees where the leaves turn and they curve, and it's a warning to people that a storm is coming. And it made me think a lot about winter and what type of Indigenous teachings there are that I could share with this group about this time. And so one of them was that winter shows us it's a resting season and it creates conditions for growth. And that resilience isn't loud, but it's protective, it's internal, and it's adaptive. Another one that came up was it reminds us that we have real strength that comes from preparation and wisdom, not force. That beneath the snow, trees stay connected and they share nutrients through their roots. I thought that was really interesting. And even when something looks still, community sustains one another. Support continues even when it isn't visible. And what's underground, so that unseen foundation, still really matters. Also, it's a reminder that winter is a time to slow down, to prepare with intention, and to show care in ways that might not always be seen, but always really matter. And so those are some of the findings that I had when I looked around about some Indigenous teachings related to winter, because I found what John Peary was talking about so fascinating. So one thing I also want to do is I want to welcome anybody from advisory that's joining us today on the CXT Talk. I hope you have a ton of questions prepared because in CXT, this is something we actually don't talk about often. And I am excited to bring on Brian, Alex, and Jonathan, who are going to share their wisdom about crypto and stablecoin and probably everything within your space that we can learn from and ask you questions on, and perhaps even how CXT's partnered on some of these pieces with you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Brian, to do the real introduction. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Amy. And before I start, Amy, I just noticed in the comments, there's some comments that people can't see the live stream. So I just want to make a note of that to make sure that everything's okay on the live stream side.
Okay, I will be on it in the back end. I think it's people aren't seeing each other's messages, so okay. I will go message.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Ford, and I run a team within advisory services called Business Solutions, and we are what I would call the transactional digital client-facing team for advisory for our business clients. So we have responsibility from sales to integration, fulfillment, support for our business clients who use our transactional and digital banking services. For a lot of people, sometimes they call that cash management, treasury management, but it would include our payment business, anything we do around liquidity, deposits, trade finance, online banking. We would be the team that's responsible for client-facing to our business clients. And I run that team. I've been with the bank for about 7 years. I think I know a lot of you in CXT and with me today, but today we're going to talk about crypto. So today we're going to really focus down because part of what we have in Business Solutions is we have a cryptocurrency business. And we've had this business for about 6.5 years. There's a nice history to it, and we would be one of the major players in helping the crypto ecosystem in Canada. With me today is Alex Nelson. Alex is responsible for all the strategy related around cryptocurrency and what we do within this particular space. So Alex has responsibility on strategy, and Jonathan Rizzo is also with us today. And Jonathan is responsible for everything risk related to the crypto portfolio. And the two of them are going to do a fair amount of the speaking today, but I want to introduce the two, and let's go. I want to start with a client story, and I will pass it to Alex to kick off us with a client story. Over to you, Alex.
Hi there. Just wanted to talk about how really the team that we're basically presenting to today, CXT, has really changed the narrative for our clients in this crypto space. So a few years ago, with your team's help, we were able to set up a really great API suite that's basically helped our exchanges move hundreds of thousands of email money transfers every month. We had a particular client that was Newton that was really not using the APIs yet, because they weren't fulsome. They were kind of one way. There was email receive, email money transfer receive, but not necessarily send. And we basically, this is a client that was maybe making us, or, doing $25,000 worth of email money transfers in revenue for us every month. And basically said, hey, if once you get everything set up, we'll maybe consider moving everything over. So working with Karen Winia and Carolyn Tran, actually, we actually were able to push forward, prioritize, make sure that API, the email money transfer, was really fulsome, and it could basically fit the needs that we learned from direct client feedback. I need this, I need error reporting, I need various subfacets of a fulsome product. And basically we locked it in, got it done, and said, hey, Newton, we're ready. And Newton came back and put it in test, and you could see almost night and day. It went from 25, they were basically passing through 25,000 a month to 300,000. And then all of a sudden the revenue that was contributed to that same client, that client was a $30,000 a month client, which is a heck of a lot, to a $200,000 a month client. And that really was a direct correlation to the hard work and efforts of our team to basically listen to the voice of the customer and pull off an amazing kind of let's get this whole product locked down so it provides the fulsome needs of our client. And we continue to grow that suite every day. We have more products coming down the pipeline to even further enhance the API product suite that you folks help prop up for us and our clients. And that's like EFT wires. Those things are right around the corner. And really that's helping our clients do what they need to do fast, because again, these clients are servicing 1 million clients of their own. And if we can service their needs, they're sticky and they'll stay with us in the future. So I just want to say kudos to this team because really without you, we couldn't have got it done. So thank you for that.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex, very much. And I think Alex when Alex gets to the next page, you might talk a little bit about the value of the portfolio, and in particular, the value of the portfolio around service charges to advisory and enterprise. There's quite significant numbers there. And I think it's obviously we wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for our partners in CXT. So we have a couple of things. We have our current state and a little bit of a vision. So current state is how we continue to build strong relationships with our crypto businesses. So we have a business model today where we have a multi-coverage model for our crypto clients, and we cover them with experts in transactional banking and risk, such as Alex and Jonathan. We have folks on my particular sales team who are quite knowledgeable about transactional banking and cryptos, but we also have corporate bankers, business bankers, investment bankers, that cover the portfolio, from investment banking to debt capital markets to equity to foreign exchange to equity research. For me, it's quite fascinating. I actually think it's actually one of the best multi-coverage segments or sectors that we have in the bank. Our clients are very, very appreciative of what we do for them. It is a hard space at times to get banking, so what we do is really important in the ecosystem. But in the future, we really want to go one step further, and we want to be that leading trusted innovation financial partner, kind of bridging what I would say is TriFi and DeFi, right? And we see this collision of these two, of traditional finance with decentralized finance, and we want to be at the middle of that as a bank and be able to support our clients in that transition between TriFi and DeFi. So it's quite an exciting time. And again, as Alex and Jonathan get into this, there is so much happening in the space right now, and it's just such a great opportunity for the role that ATB plays today. So Alex, I'm going to pass it back to you to talk about what we do today.
Yeah, so if you look at the space, ATB truly today provides banking services to crypto-related businesses. There's 17 clients, and those are digital asset exchanges, crypto miners, custodians, trusts, crypto service providers, people and firms that basically prop up the ecosystem. On the right, you can see, some of the examples: Coinbase, Newton, Index, Tetra, ShakePay, Virgo. It's a mix of exchanges and trust. And so this is a really strong revenue line I'll get to in a minute. But really, we're providing them basic payment rails that your team basically props up and helps basically, make happen. So that's operating savings accounts, investment vehicles, letters of credit, and then the one I mentioned before, direct connectivity APIs. Again, these clients are moving faster than us a lot of times. They're servicing many clients en masse, quickly, securely. So providing APIs is basically like a must-have for this client base. As well, a lot of these clients want to be their own broker-dealers. They want a seat at the table when RPA talks occur. So regulatory compliance is key for them. The segregation of client funds, operating funds. We provide regulatory compliant trust accounts that do just that. We work with outside lawyers and regulatory experts to make sure that we lock in the needs that these clients have and make it happen. And as a result of this, we've really, as ATB, we've reaped the benefits. So if you look at this book, the book of crypto and the adjacent digital finance clients that we service in the same kind of sphere, it's a $14.7 million book in FY25. And we're basically looking to match that this year. And business server charges makes up about $6.8 million of that amount. And then the rest is a mix of about $6 million in AI and then FX. So truly, it's a real revenue driver that, even as other clients want to become autonomous and work towards being more of in service of their own clients, we're still able to hold on to that revenue and basically grow our revenue stream based on this client book. It's a really unique space with unique needs, and they're fast. And so keeping up is part of our role. And I will say, before I pass off to Jonathan, having such strong clients that are so innovative really provides us leverage in the future as we look to expand our position in the convergence of TradFi and DeFi. Our clients could be a part of the solutions that we in turn will eventually provide to our clients. This all said, I want to back up a little bit. Maybe this a little bit like, what is crypto? What's the blockchain? Like, what are we talking about? Why do we care? So I'll let Jonathan take it from here, and then I'll come back in a little bit. We'll talk about trends. Jonathan?
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. So looking at those 17 clients Alex was just talking about and how they're evolving the digital finance space, they all run on what's essentially the blockchain. So if you think about the evolution, you've gone from cash to checks to online banking to now you're hearing the term blockchain, you're hearing stable coins, cryptocurrency, all of that, right? And essentially, I'm just going to do a pretty quick summary of the blockchain, how it works, and why it ties into this specific sector and how ATB will play a role in the future, whether it's products, innovation, etc. So if you look at the blockchain and what it is, it's essentially a decentralized digital ledger that is immutable, meaning it cannot be altered, cannot be changed. Once a block is confirmed and a new block is created, the subsequent blocks are set in stone. And I'll, in the next slide, run you through how a blockchain transaction works and how it functions. But for now, just think of this new digital age of banking as a way for merchants, customers, businesses to decrease costs, accept instant payments, and kind of operate outside of those traditional banking hours. This is the blockchain is 24/7, 365, programmable on something called smart contracts, to which allows your money and your business needs to operate in a unique fashion for what you need. So that is the blockchain. Now let's look at how the blockchain works and how transactions are confirmed and then therefore immutable for the rest of the time. So think of it like this. You have, let's say, ATB as an example. ATB owns a centralized ledger for all transactions that occur at ATB. All financial transactions, ATB is the owner of that. They make sure every transaction is legitimate, verifiable, etc. within the bank. Now look at the blockchain as more so like a Google document. You know, we all use Google Product Suite here. For Google, the blockchain, quote unquote, is a Google document shared with thousands upon thousands of people. And nobody has the sole ownership to delete and or save this document. So everybody contributes to it. Everybody has the exact same version of the document. And from there, we are all able to verify every single transaction. So let's say I want to send $100 to Alex. What's first going to happen in phase one is I'm going to broadcast this transaction to every single person on the blockchain. I'm going to say, hey, I have $100. I want to send it to Alex. The validators on this blockchain will make sure I actually do have that $100 to send, right? Let's say on a scenario, I said I have $100 million I want to send to Alex. I personally don't have $100 million, especially that I would send to Alex. So validators would say, hey, you don't actually have that sort of money. But in this $100 scenario, I can verify I have $100. The validators of the network all agree I have $100 and will then add it to the current block of transactions. So if you're thinking of it as a piece of paper, my transaction gets written down on a piece of paper, and no matter how small you write on that piece of paper, eventually it'll get so full that there's no more room to add transactions. Once that block is completely full of transactions that are verified by the network then reaches consensus, meaning 51% or more of these validators have to agree that my transaction is legitimate. I have the funds. Alex's wallet is legitimate. He can receive the funds. The block is confirmed, and then therefore a new block is created. Now, that block that was just confirmed has a digital fingerprint on it, meaning it is completely unique to those transactions. So every subsequent block that occurs with transactions in the future have a unique digital fingerprint as well. So if somebody tried to go back in history and alter certain transactions, it would change the unique digital fingerprint, and therefore the chain would not be immutable. So because every block on the blockchain has a unique fingerprint, the chain becomes immutable, and therefore every transaction that has ever occurred to every transaction that will ever occur is completely verifiable. And this entire 4-phase process that you're seeing on the screen is essentially happening in real time. So it's complicated as it does seem. All of this, from the initiate and broadcast to validate to block creation and immutability, that is all happening in a near instant scenario, which is what allows blockchain transactions and money movement cross-border to settle in real time at a fraction of a penny comparative to the traditional banking sector. Now, kind of looping all of that into the business clients we bank, right? So the digital finance space, the immutable blockchain, this level of innovation that these clients bring to ATB, and this unknown area in which the banks will eventually have to evolve, comes with high risk. So any digital asset, any business that either touches digital assets or is digital asset adjacent is deemed as a high-risk client at ATB. And because of that, we have built over the years under Business Solutions a framework to properly assess the compliance and risk associated with these clients. it goes more than just what do they do in ATB bank accounts. It goes into what exactly do they do on the blockchain. These companies are processing hundreds of thousands of payments in real time, and ATB needs that visibility outside of the ATB bank account. So a part of what we do in the digital finance team is blockchain monitor. We ensure that all the business-owned wallets or client-owned wallets are not commingling, and we ensure that at all times 100% of client funds are safely secured on these crypto exchanges or custodians. So a lot of what we do is built around how do we power this space forward while ensuring that ATB is not in over their head with the risk we are assuming. So if you talk regulatory and legal risk, we have our HRC, our high risk client framework, and annual reviews and external audits, one of which we just went through with our third line of defense, internal assurance, and Deloitte. They assessed our entire playbook, our entire operations, our entire risk monitoring, onboarding process, etc., to ensure that we were adequately assuming the appropriate levels of risk. And luckily that did pass with flying colors. But, if we talk operational risk or even reputational risk, all it takes is really one client in this space to break the rules and ruin it for this entire portfolio. So we're very selective as to who we want to bank, why we bank them, and the products and services they offer to their clients, and the products and services we want to offer to our clients. And I'll just pass that on to Alex. So talking innovation and the trends and how our clients want to push a space forward, ATB also wants to push the space forward. And Alex will run through all of that for us.
Yeah. So if you look at ATB and what do we do next? What should we do? I'll look through just basically what's happening out there. So I've broken this out into three different subcategories. Crypto businesses, some such as the ones we serve, ATB client advisory, the clients we serve, that's everybody. And then just what's the cool whiz banks out there in the industry. So if you look at our crypto clients, this is, I mentioned before, a 14.7, roughly $15 million revenue line for ATB. They want to be broker dealers. They want to have a seat at the table at Payments Canada. They want to be autonomous. So they want to basically be a faux bank in their own right. They want their clients to be able to pay bills, be a sort of banking experience for their clients. That's happening all the time. They want, direct financial access and advice. They want direct clearing. They want APIs, real-time rail support. They want to pursue strategic insights. So they want, advice from our investment banking team. How do I do an M&A? How do I, go public? And additionally, they want there's a growing importance for the support of a fiat-backed CAD stablecoin. You might have seen the news, and we'll talk about this pretty much at length later, but this notion of Canada needs a stablecoin to basically have our own sovereignty. And we need to do that sooner than later so that we're not deeply entrenched in fully US dollar stablecoin. So CAD stablecoin initiatives, our clients, the businesses, are looking to support from ATB to hold the fiat or even invest in those companies. So what about like clients? So clients are really the growing demand for what do I do? And this is for Albertans and this is for Canadians. Albertans are looking for advice. I want to invest. I want to utilize. How do I invest? What's my strategy here? How do I keep my Bitcoin safe so it's not written on a piece of paper or I lose my keys or, oh my goodness, I don't know where it is. Or really optimize trading approaches so that you're not just FOMOing, fear of missing out, and you buy something on a Wednesday and you go, I lost all my money. So truly just having that baseline, that growing demand for crypto advice is going to grow more and more and more. How does a bank have a baseline knowledge so that even if there's an expert team, how do you know when to redirect that team? Because just like I could walk into the bank and say, hey, I want to invest in a GIC. Down the line, shouldn't the bank know also how to help our clients properly invest in the crypto ecosystem? So what about cool stuff? You've got new financial products, Bitcoin reward credit card. So I have a credit card instead of coffee, instead of air miles, I get Bitcoin. What about loans? We've got our own clients that miners, $150 million in Bitcoin. They don't want to sell it. They just want to pay payroll. Retirees might have 5 million in Bitcoin. they want to leverage it. Or Joe and Sally, ATB users that want to just, they have 50K and they want to, leverage that to buy a car. So how do you provide that service to clients? That's a real scenario that's happening today, as well as high yield crypto savings. So I want to be able to park my Ethereum, park my Bitcoin, and get a return, hopefully in Bitcoin or Ethereum or another crypto asset. Now I'll pause there and say that our clients themselves, our exchanges, the exchanges that we bank and the DeFi space are doing this today. So these services that are like, that'd be really cool if ATB did that someday. Our own clients will become our own competitors along with timeline. And other banks will do this. And this is not like banking the crypto clients. This is doing crypto stuff. And something that we could just say, that's not for us. But the reality is that our own clients will become our competitors. Other banks will start doing this because it's already happening. And the young users are there already doing it. What about institutions? Well, they want Bitcoin custody services. So they might have, like, parlay right into the next one, a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They want a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They might hold USD. They might hold CAD. They want to hold Bitcoin. So how do you properly custody those assets so that you can keep it safe, so that you can do other things for those clients? Another hot topic, real world asset tokenization. The long and short of this is tokenizing a real world asset like land or like, especially ag, hectares of land. So each hectare of land is a token. We've talked to some very nascent firms doing this right now. It's a regulatory gray zone. But the reality is that as we look to the future, you're going to see things on the blockchain that are actually representative, like a deed or a part of a deed of a real world asset. And that's a trend happening right now. Closing this off, you've got blockchain-based money movement. So moving money on the blockchain, this isn't swapping wires for blockchain money movement. This is an alternative in a parallel rail. So maybe in some cases it's quicker, easier, faster, more efficient to send on the blockchain. That could be Ethereum, it could be a stable coin, or whatever it is. And then lastly, white label crypto services, exchange services. So that's ATB or another bank. There's JP Morgan's doing this with Questrade in the States. So JP wants to offer crypto. So Questrade is the back end, and they basically allow you to go on and I want to move, some USD to crypto, and it's just a swap. And look, I've got it in my JP account. No, it's actually sitting in exchange in the back end. Now, before I move on here, the thing I want to emphasize is that a lot of these things require infrastructure change. So one of the biggest parts that we can speak to how CXT can help us get here is regardless of the direction ATB takes, we need to be ready. Maybe there's a regulatory change that says you must be compliant and offer stablecoins. Maybe there's a real shift where every bank has a network that needs to move money on the blockchain. And things like SAP, ECRM, the web, even just our baseline knowledge of the bank need to evolve to basically be ready for this when we move on to the next stage of our evolution as a bank. So I'll just pass it on to Jonathan, and we can move on so that we can have time for questions.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Alex. So, I'm sure if you're looking in the news or you've seen the federal budget, stable coins have been the hot topic the past couple of months, right? And let's just quickly go over what exactly is a stable coin, because then Alex is going to talk about what ATB is doing in the space, which is pretty cool. So think of a stable coin as a digital Canadian dollar or a digital US dollar. And it is the value of this cryptocurrency, the stable coin, is pegged 1-to-1 to the Canadian dollar. So for every $1 of stable coin you own or purchase, there is subsequently $1 being held at a Canadian financial institution to keep its peg. Meaning when the Canadian dollar fluctuates maybe against the US dollar or the Japanese yen, it's still worth $1 Canadian dollar. It may be worth less to the US dollar, but it will always be worth $1 Canadian dollar on the blockchain for you. So these have many, many use cases that we're seeing kind of take place in the world today. If you want to think about payments, if you want to think about a medium of exchange, instead of purchasing your cup of coffee with a Bitcoin, which is highly volatile, it fluctuates, your coffee could cost you at a conversion rate of $2 and then next day you ended up actually paying $6 because Bitcoin has fluctuated, right? So stablecoins holding that peg to the Canadian dollar offer a way for that instantaneous real-time settlement of cryptocurrency while providing that medium of exchange and speed 24/7 for whether it's merchants, businesses, etc. Now I'm going to pass it off to Alex to quickly talk about what ATB is doing in the space specific to stablecoins, because it is pretty cool.
Yeah, so ATB is supporting the crypto stablecoin initiative. You might have seen on the 18th, there was the Stablecoin Act came out for Canada, providing new guidelines. ATB is honestly an active participant as a depository institution for Tetra Trust, which was in the news for propping this up, for propping up a stablecoin initiative recently as well. We are basically insulated from risk. We have an entire product team that basically works through the compliance thereof. And to note too, as I note on the side, we are also the depository institution of two other stablecoin initiatives, QCAD and CCAD, which were also in the news recently as well. In this particular case, we're a strategic investor. So we actually get a founder's equity in the Tetra Trust stablecoin subsidiary. As well, this basically, we actually have a seat on the board so that we can influence Canada's future digital finance policy when it comes to stablecoins. Truly, this is a great way for ATB to have a seat at the table. And as payments change in Canada, ATB will be well positioned along with other big players in the industry to really get it done in service of Canadians. So it comes down when it comes down the pipe, and it's as our client using RTRs, our client using EFTs, email money transfers, or the blockchain, we're in a place where we know what's going on and we can help assist folks like yourselves in building that infrastructure or supporting our clients at whatever way they want to move money. So that's the gist of it. So Brian, if you'd like to close this out, we can move on to questions.
Sure can. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jonathan. That was really, really great. So we fundamentally believe cryptocurrency is a really important part of ATB's strategy going forward. There's some work that we've been doing within the advisory group of how do we start to advance some of these ideas beyond banking industry with the wider ATB teams. And I think at a point in time, we'll need the support of our partners in CXT. But I do appreciate everyone that supports us today. We have built really in 6.5 years quite a profitable business line. And I would say, again, the appreciation from the industry, the regulators, and the government of what we do is highly regarded. So thank you to everyone in CXT in supporting us. That being said, we have lots of questions. Amy, I might pass it over to you to guide us through question period.
Awesome. And thank you so much for the whole team for just being so invested and involved in this topic. These questions, I've got to say, significantly more impressive than the ones I pummeled Alex with when we were writing the stablecoin article. So just like very impressed. Well done, all of you. Let's start off with this question. So could you describe the know your client process for the stablecoin? How will it safely and transparently compare to traditional currencies?
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll take that one. So in Canada, stablecoin issuers will be known as distributors, and they will be confined to only distributing these stablecoins to verifiable liquidity providers, aka exchanges, custodians, regulated entities within Canada. So as a regulated entity within Canada, you are required to KYC every single customer you onboard. Until you do so, they are not allowed to transact on your crypto exchange. So to start, let's use that CAD Digital, the Tetra entity we've invested in. They will be directly distributing to the regulated exchanges in Canada. So all of those clients are already KYC'd. All Tetra as a distributor has to do is KYB, know your business, the exchange in which they're supplying liquidity to. Now, the blockchain being, is there an echo? Sorry. The blockchain being a decentralized network that operates globally, there will be scenarios where your Canadian stablecoin will move cross-border into the US, into any corner of the globe you want it to. And that will operate on decentralized exchanges in which KYC is very unlikely. That is the inevitability of the blockchain. And that's something that the Canadian regulatory bodies cannot stop, but the initial distribution will be going directly to regulated crypto exchanges in Canada. And those will all be required to KYC.
All right. Next up, we've got one about the government. So how does the political climate in the US affect the crypto industry? So recent headlines suggest confidence is waning in relation to the current US president's sagging popularity.
Alex, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, so without going into I'll try and keep this short because you could ramble on a lot about this. I think like political uncertainty definitely results in market volatility, the FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. So truly the gist here is, I think, regulatory clarity. So if you look at, is the price going to pump and all that, that's like the wrong narrative to really be chasing. So the trend needs to move from, is Trump going to say something that's going to disrupt things? What's the long-term bull signal, et cetera? So you need to move beyond more government engagement and clearer rules to create more legitimacy and stability rather than like chasing a price. So I think what you need to see and what we will likely see is just like Canada, like we've released our budget and it mentioned like a blurb on stablecoin, and then we have the Stablecoin Act. The Genius Act is really just the beginning. So as the U.S. regulatory future evolves, I think you'll see more clarification, and be it this administration or the next, hopefully this one, through some rational thought, we'll get it done. But I'm not super worried. I think the narrative right now is so focused on price that we're losing scope or focus on the notion that like if we had better rules, because even the diehards want more clarity and like what can't do. Once we get that modus operandi, we'll be able to function better and we'll see more. You won't be so much of a roller coaster.
Awesome, thank you. All right, it seems like we're far from being able to scale up quantum processors, but if a breakthrough happens, how concerned are we that Shor's algorithm for that I'm just gonna let you finish reading that one yourself.
Alex, you want to take that one, Alex?
Yeah, sure. So I love the quantum space. I think, things like, lattice-based encryption are going to be super cool to see. Now, like the leading experts on this one in particular are really saying early 2030s are when the threat becomes a reality. And while this was going on, I think the experts are really saying that like the mining hash is safe, but the threat is really in like signatures. So there are certain threats to Shor's algorithm if you want to go deep dive. But the reality is that, post-quantum cryptography, is really going to be something that people are going to be working on right now. So if you look at the money behind this, if you look at the technology behind this, the threat is real. It targets the signature scheme, not the hash function. But the community is really preparing a fix. And the timeline for the quantum leap is a big unknown. Like some people say it's not 2030, it could be 2040. So, or it could be, who knows, 2050, and also accessibility. So I think, yes, it's a threat. Yes, it's real. But the reality is that the community knows, and the top experts are working on it. I was at Money 2020, and the CTO of Microsoft is on this. So super something that I think the CXT team, somebody needs to have their eyeball on quantum in the future, because quantum is going to be the next buzzy thing. But yeah, no, great question, because it's pretty techy. And I think reality is nobody wants their money taken, whether it's in crypto or fiat. So people are working on it, top experts.
If I could just quickly add to that, the quantum threat that is inevitable. Yes, Bitcoin is susceptible to that, but so is your 4-digit PIN code, and so is your 8-digit online banking password, while a SHA-256 is 256 unique numbers, identifiers. So there will be other threats in the meantime that as a bank we should prepare for before it becomes a blockchain threat.
Fascinating. That one was a whole different language to me. but like, yeah, very interesting. Okay. Next up, outside of the immediate business solutions team, can you say more about what your team is doing to educate and partner with other business sales teams like corporate banking?
Maybe I'll take that one. Because I couldn't have taken the last one, I can tell you that. That being said, yeah, so we're working on a crypto strategy with advisory. One of the most big pieces of it is around training education. So we have two core pieces of the strategy. One is training education, and the other, really honestly, is core infrastructure, right? How do we prepare ourselves to be able to play in the crypto, blockchain, stablecoin space? But we have identified training education as a key thing of how do we roll this out to advisory and then to the rest of the enterprise. I think Alex made a comment. I can walk into a branch today. I can get mortgage advice. I can get investment advice. I can get advice from GICs, about mutual funds. But if I walk into a branch today and I go, well, I really need information. I want to buy Bitcoin. We can't provide that client any advice, nor in our wealth management business. And we would have a small group of business and corporate bankers, probably like in the whole organization, maybe 15 people that have the knowledge similar to an Alex and Jonathan. We do need to educate the wider bank, and that is a big piece of our strategy going forward. So I would say stay tuned. It may start in Q4, but I would say at the latest in Q1 of next year.
All right. Next up. Do you see more privacy-focused coins like Monero being part of the future strategy?
So I'll take a crack at this first. I know Alex has thoughts. So as a regulated financial institution, everything ATB is doing in the space, although it be innovative, is compliance first and regulation first. So to your privacy enhancing coin comment, we actually don't let any of the regulated exchanges we bank offer these. So like a Monero, a Zcash, these are all privacy enhancing coins. We don't let them offer that as coin listing on their platforms. Even if you're a custodian or a trust, we don't. That is just outside of our risk appetite, along with some other stuff like Bitcoin ATMs, because those lack KYC thresholds. But in terms of future focus, it's not something ATB will play in probably any time in the near future. We have to have the ability to understand where our clients, whether it's retail business or exchanges, are sending/receiving their funds. And a whole part of our blockchain monitoring tools that we've recently implemented over the past couple of years is to fully understand every aspect of their business. So when you're hiding the end location of where these funds are going, or you're hiding the identity into which you are receiving and or sending funds, that's not something ATB will likely play in the space. But as a crypto native who really looks back and thinks, what is the purpose of Bitcoin and the blockchain of cryptocurrency? Is to provide banking to the unbanked. So in an unregulated space, it is very popular. I can see the use case for it, but as a regulated financial institution at ATB, that is not something that we currently or in the future will likely have a risk appetite for.
Perfect. Thanks, Jonathan. Amy, I think we maybe have time for, do we have time for one more question or not?
You go real quick. I'll throw this one in because you might be able to answer it. Does ATB's strategy lean towards a shared industry standard or a proprietary stablecoin?
Mr. Nelson?
I would say it's more towards the consortium methodology. So in the future state, as I would project it, I would see the banks using stablecoins parallel to different rails. And we need basically all the banks and their infrastructure to be able to talk to each other in a nice way. So as much as it'd be cool to have ATB coin, I think supporting industry standards such as one of the CAD coins or similar would be the way to go here. Even Ethereum, we all need to get on the same highway. We need to be able to talk to the banks just like we use things like Swift today, but in a blockchain way. So probably not on proprietary.
And I would say our investment in the stablecoin with Tetra Trust, we are partners in that investment, of course, include Tetra, but they also include some of the biggest fintechs in Canada, being ShakePay, Wealthsimple, and Shopify. So, and Purpose Mutual Funds, really key partners with that particular stablecoin. And we do see stablecoin as a future of payments in both the Canadian and the international payment space. We see it as quite critical going forward. With that, Amy, I'll pass it back to you to bring us to a close.
Yeah, I really quickly want to draw everyone's attention to this really great concept and definition sheet that this group put together. So I'm going to put this in the article so that you can read it. I know it's kind of small up here, but it's really useful. And I want to quickly close with, I can't say thank you better than Eric, where he says, thank you, Brian, Jonathan, and Alex. It has been a great partnership enabling ATB business opportunities while keeping everyone safe, secure, and reliable. You have done an amazing job educating us this morning. While we didn't get to every question, we got to most of them. And with that, I'm going to take you all off the screen and give a couple reminders. So thank you, Brian, Alex, and Jonathan for joining us this morning. So very grateful for your knowledge and willingness to share. Some very quick reminders. December 12th, we have a holiday edition of CXT Talks. There might be prizes, so you might want to tune in. The Culture Champions are organizing a virtual event on December 18th, so tune in for that. And December 4th, we are going to start something called the 12 Days of Winter Cheer. The 12 Days of Winter Cheer, and every day has a prize. So make sure you tune into the CXT chat to see how to enter every single day. And thank you to the Culture Champions and Candace for organizing all of that. And then finally, today is the graduation day for everyone that was in cohort 1 of the U of A program. So congratulations to all of you. I will see you at graduation later. And to cohort 2, just getting started, one day you get to finish. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful snowy day. Bye.